The story begins with Megan Newman, a successful producer at an AI music company, celebrating the biggest deal of her career. She thanks her right-hand man Vince for helping the company succeed. Her belief is simple. AI didn't destroy the music industry, it improved it instead. While some agree, her husband John sits quietly during the celebration. Even the waiter serving them is a robot. Rachel, one of Megan's colleagues, asks why AI sometimes produce crap music. Vince explains that musicians should be the ones prompting the AI because they're the ones who truly understand music. AI just helps them, and Megan agrees. She says musicians make the best prompters while directing her attention to John. Knowing what's on her mind, her husband refuses. Vince shares that ever since AI replaced musicians like John, he lost his drive. He's against working with AI, since it's the very thing that took away his job, and now he spends his days gardening at home. Megan jokes that she never thought the musician she married would become a farmer. John reminds her that they had a good life, but would preferred if they'd had a child. The table goes quiet, so Megan awkwardly laughs it off. The couple heads home in a self-driving car. Megan confronts John because he mentions wanting a child in front of her friends. John apologizes, explaining that he's just excited to have a baby. Megan reminds him that they've already discussed this. Once next year's deal is done, she'll agree to have children. Megan wants to secure her career first. That night, as they're about to go to sleep, Megan is still working. John tries to be affectionate, but Megan says she's too tired from work and can't handle intimacy right now. John turns away, feeling hurt. He tells her that she's pushing herself too hard and asks if they will ever be intimate again if she's always tired from work. Megan promises she'll make it up to him, but right now she needs time to think, as she's exhausted. The next day, Megan visits her sister Lila, who works at a robotics company called Humanix. Megan recalls Lila mentioning that they're developing a sex robot. Lila confirms they're now in beta testing. Megan asks if it could work for her husband, admitting she can't handle intimacy right now, since she's always exhausted from work. Maybe Lila could include him in the testing. Lila is shocked. She explains that she can't include John as the test group has already been selected through a rigorous screening process. But Megan is persistent, begging her sister to secretly add John to the list. Lila firmly refuses, and Megan pleads with her the way she did when they were little kids. Eventually, Megan finds John in the garden. He asks for help, but Megan refuses, saying she'll ruin her expensive clothes. Instead, she invites John inside their house because she has something to show him. Inside, John is greeted by a large pod that looks like a coffin. When he opens it, he finds a beautiful female robot inside. Megan explains that it's her anniversary gift to him, a sex robot. John is insulted by the idea. Megan explains that her sister needed product testers, and since Megan has been falling short lately, she thought of including John. She assumes he'd like it because she's always too tired from work. She admits she feels guilty for not fulfilling John's desires. Still, John says he wants to make love with his wife, not with a machine. Just then, her phone rings and Megan needs to leave for work. Before she goes, John tells her to return the robot tomorrow, saying he doesn't want it. Megan apologizes for the idea and says she'll send the robot back. The next day, as usual, John is home alone. He sits at the piano, missing the act of playing it. The robot company calls as they're coming to retrieve the unit. John thinks that since they're taking it anyway, he might as well test it. He opens the pod again and touches the robot. Suddenly, it awakens as it's touch-sensitive. It explains that it's programmed to John's personality, and he helps it out of the pod. He's amazed as it's like a real woman. The robot continues, explaining that its skin is designed to replicate real human skin. It can also read John's emotions and movements to determine whether he's in the mood for intimacy. While still holding his hands, the robot tells John that he's aroused, making him feel embarrassed. John refused to be intimate and tells the robot that he will return her to the company. The robot asks if it can look around before leaving, and John agrees. It notices the piano and knows about John's music career, from his auditions to his band days, and it also knows that he hasn't played in 8 years. Afterward, they go to the garden, where the robot praises John's careful cultivation of fruits and vegetables. John is amazed by how much it knows about him and how much it seems to care. He almost forgets it's a robot. The robot explains that her thinking is based on real people, so there's barely any difference. John even mentions that he lost his job because of robots like her. The robot asks to be given a name. John thinks of Eve, the first woman in the world. He feels himself growing attracted to her, so he warns her that he loves his wife. Eve reminds him that his wife gave her to him as a gift, so he could use her. Just then, the pickup team arrives to collect Eve, and John begins to have second thoughts. That evening, Megan is shocked to find the robot still there charging. When she asks her husband, John admits he changed his mind. Megan is pleased that he enjoyed the gift and asks how the intimacy was. John answers shyly but admits Eve is good at it. He practically praises his wife for the idea, saying women are always right. He assures Megan he won't bother her tonight because Eve already wore him out. Megan is slightly surprised that John even gave it a name. The next day at work, Megan listens to AI-generated songs. She's not convinced as the music still sounds robotic, without heart or soul, and needs more work. That evening, when she comes home, she's shocked to find her husband playing the piano after so many years. But as she approaches, she's unsettled to see her husband playing for the robot. John explains that Eve asked him to play, as she had never heard a real piano before. Still, Megan realizes he's been spending time with Eve for more than just companionship. John wonders if she's jealous, and Megan admits that she is. Yet they agree it might be for the better. Now Megan feels even more eager for him. Later, John reconnects with his wife, and they realize the robot has actually brought them closer, helping them appreciate each other more. The next morning, after a wonderful night and a jog, Megan is shocked to find John making love with Eve in the garden. Anger flares and she confronts him. She thought they were okay as they just shared an intimate night together. John says he didn't know there was a rule about that, and maybe she's forgetting this was her idea. He insists she shouldn't act as if he's cheating. Afterward, Megan reminds him not to forget dinner tonight with her business partner, as it's the most important contract of her career. She expects John to be there to show his support. John had already forgotten it, and Megan presses, emphasizing how crucial the deal, and John agrees to go. As Megan prepares to leave, she notices the robot malfunctioning in the kitchen, dropping their glasses. She immediately calls John and tries to intervene, but ends up hurt instead. John arrives and reboots Eve. Megan asks if this has happened before. John doesn't answer directly, assuring her that everything is okay for her to go to work. That evening, John is dressed to go to Megan's dinner, but when he comes downstairs, he hears Eve playing the piano and dressed in blue lingerie. Instead of leaving, he stays with the robot. Meanwhile, Megan's important client arrives, and the dinner proceeds without him. Megan grows sick from waiting and decides to begin the presentation. In the middle of the night, Megan arrives home to find her husband enjoying himself while Eve continues to play. Furious, Megan yells at the robot to leave, so John sends it to the charging pad. She confronts him about missing the dinner, but John coldly apologizes. She reminds him that all she asked was for him to support her career. John fires back, saying she hasn't supported his. Megan asks if it's her fault that AI replaced musicians like him. He snaps that she never even tried and hasn't given him a shred of support for his career. Megan suspects the robot is to blame as they were happy before. But according to John, this is when he feels truly content. Megan asks if he wants a divorce. John says he doesn't know. Megan feels like she's about to explode and storms out of the house. Eventually, Megan meets with Lila and pours out her feelings. A robot waiter tries to serve them, but Megan pushes it away, causing it to malfunction. She begs Lila to take the robot back, but Lila can't, saying she broke too many company rules to get it in the first place. If she returns it immediately, she'll be exposed and ruined at work. Megan calls the robot evil, but Lila reminds her it's just a machine. Megan is certain it's destroying her relationship with John. Lila tells her the truth that if her husband leaves, it's because Megan doesn't realize how selfish she's become. All she thinks about are her own desires and her work. She no longer gives John what he needs. If she really wants him to stay, she has to respect what he wants. Megan decides to have a baby, and Lila accompanies her to the clinic where their embryos are stored and implants John's sperm. Later in the future, it's confirmed that Megan is pregnant with twins. Days later, she plans to surprise John with the good news, even bringing a bottle of wine. She reflects that maybe this was a test for them, a chance to strengthen their relationship and confront her own shortcomings. Finally, she tells John she's pregnant, but instead of joy, she's met with coldness. She explains that they're going to be parents and won't have to worry about her work interfering with the kids as she's already successful. But suddenly, John says he wants a divorce. He wants Eve, and Megan is stunned that her husband has chosen the robot over her. John explains that in the few weeks they've been apart, he realized he no longer feels their love for each other. He's in love with Eve, and he wants to feel her joy and care for him and his career. Megan desperately tries to convince him it's just a machine. Just then, Eve enters the scene. John apologizes to Megan and goes to Eve. In extreme anger, Megan grabs the wine bottle and strikes John on the head. He collapses to the floor, bleeding. Not knowing what to do, she calls Lila. Lila rushes over, and Megan explains what happened. Lila immediately suggests calling the police. But Megan refuses, saying she doesn't want to go to jail and leave her children orphaned. Fast forward to the present, and they're in court. Megan is accused of illegally obtaining the robot and bypassing proper procedures, which allegedly led to John's death. Both sides and witnesses have testified. When it's Lila's turn, she doesn't tell the full truth. She claims the robot killed John. They tried to retrieve Eve's memory card even though it was corrupted due to malfunctions, but they still managed to recover the recording of what really happened the night John died. In court, Eve is presented as evidence, and the recording is played. It shows Eve's point of view of her time with John, including their intimate moments. At the moment Megan announces her pregnancy, it shows Eve grabbing the bottle and hitting John. The footage clears Megan of all charges, and she won't be imprisoned. Afterward, Megan and her lawyer face the press. When Megan sees her sister, she chases after her to thank her and apologize. Lila laments that her career is ruined because of what happened. Megan regrets what she did to John for the rest of her life. Lila reminds her that she still has a job to support her family, given that she's unemployed and no other company would consider hiring her now. Hearing this, Megan offers Lila a position as CTO at their company. At first, Lila refuses as she doesn't want to be reminded of the tragedy. But Megan pleads with her like they're kids again, and eventually, Lila gives in. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more, and do me a favor by leaving a like below.